A
Right.
lot of that's what artists and authors will do in their work, and they know that it comes from something more than their personality. And so there's that level when I'm speaking.
Right.
And then there's a level where I expand myself further, and then I see and hear the spirit world. That's the channel I'm turning myself in onto, and I can see and hear loved ones who've crossed over, ascended masters, and angelic hosts, and I simply relay what I'm seeing. And
Right.
then if I expand myself further, then I allow certain beings that I know and trust to completely come in and use me as a vessel in order to speak in the first person.
When you say that you expand yourself further, are we talking about? Explain that to us so that we.
I've just recently been using the word expand. It is a level of surrender, but it's in the knowing
Right.
that we are all one. And so even when I'm allowing these personalities to come through me of these ascended masters who have taught us in the past and are here to teach us now, it's still part of the oneness. So when I say expand, I'm talking about sort of expanding my attention from my personal eye into the more universal and being able to then draw out the energies that can teach in that moment.
So what is the trick? And I'm sure people who are trying this in the beginning. What is I don't know if trick's the right word. What is the method or the technique that you use in order to be able to marry intent with letting go?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to have that.
I, I say I'm a surrendered control freak. So I struggled all along
Right.
the way to let go of control. And I don't think that that's a bad thing because I needed to know every step of the way. I say I'm a skeptic. I questioned everything. And it was a personal journey to surrendering. And this is why I teach you start with yourself. You know, you go into your garden, your meditation, or whatever technique you use to start to access your own information, your own guides for your own personal use. And then then we know the technique, and we can then go quicker. I don't have to go into my garden now. I can just say an opening prayer, and the guides know. It's an agreement that now I'm going to work with them, and the cleansing of ourselves, the personal work, is what allows me to be the vessel for them to use, in my opinion. So it's my responsibility to deal with my emotions, to face my obstacles, to become the clearest vessel that I can, so that the energies can work through me.
And I'm planning to talk a little more about that as we move in because I'm with you. I think the personal without the personal work, we can just cause a lot of havoc and a lot of
Exactly.
trouble. That not only
Exactly.
for, not only
Or
for not only for
yeah.
others but for ourselves.
Yeah.
When you're talking about the radio waves and the TV waves and how there are different channels and different levels, that same premise, that same thing works in the law of attraction. It's like I can if I'm vibrating one particular way, I can see somebody who I've had an altercation with or whatever. They'll be across the street, but we won't cross paths because I've moved from that space. So I want to get more in depth with the channeling and who you channel with and the entities but I got a couple other things I want to talk about. First of all, you just were at the UN and presented a petition at the UN. How about
You know
telling us
what?
about
That got canceled. I was
oh,
scheduled to go, but we canceled that at the last minute.
what was the plan with that? What was the petition going to deal with?
Co-Creator Network was working. It was about oneness and bringing all the people together. The idea that we can work together on a bigger whole, so that oneness, as I speak of it, is in the spirit realm. Of course, we're all one, but even on the
Right.
earth level, if we start, instead of everybody inventing the wheel, there's a lot of people now that are doing a lot of work in good ways in all the whole spectrum of businesses and spiritual teachers, and so to bring everyone, businesses together, everyone together that believes in the concept of coming together and working as one in a global unit.
That's one of the, I believe, humanity's largest challenges is to come to that point. And certainly that's a big part of why we exist, why Spiritual Broadcasting Network exists, why this show exists, because I'm totally in alignment with you. If we don't make some pretty serious changes, you know, I just read something the other day. You know, we talk about saving the Earth. The reality is we need to save humanity because Earth is going to take care of itself.
Absolutely. She knows what she's doing.
You bet. And is far more intelligent and aware than what we're willing to talk about. You channel Mary Magdalene and Isis, which is a pretty interesting combination. How did that happen? How did that occur for you?
Well, I'll tell you the story.
Okay, great.
Originally, I started working with Mary Magdalene, and just like most of the world, I was not raised to know much about Mary Magdalene.
Right.
I was raised Protestant, so there might have been a little bit more openness to that than what some of the other people have learned. But, in my early childhood, I say Jesus Christ Superstar was probably my first expression of, oh, maybe there's something here with this woman. And so she really wasn't in the forefront of my knowing as I was growing up. And
Right.
several years ago, I was experiencing a lot of things in my life. I had begun the change of form of my marriage. My best friend had just crossed to the spirit world through cancer. I was in a very intense relationship of exploring the twin flame vibration and trying to understand all of that. And one day I was just on my couch. Now at this point I already was communicating with spirit guides in meditation and in some readings, but I was not in a meditation at this point. Just sitting on my couch, relaxing, and I began to see an image of Magdalene in front of me. So I took great notice, even more so than had it been in my normal experience of the meditation.
When you say image, were you seeing an animated life, or just an image like a photo type image?
I try to think back on exactly how that was because I get asked that question a lot. And
I'll bet, yeah.
I would say probably the best way to describe it would be like a hologram.
I got you.
In between physical and spiritual.
Right.
But my physical eyes were open in this case, where in meditation they're often closed. So I was seeing probably with my physical and my third eye at the same time.
Right.
And so she began to explain to me that she was Jesus' twin flame, and that their partnership was part of the lessons that they had come to teach the world. And at that point, she placed her hands on my heart, and I felt such tremendous love from her. It just poured through me. And she said to me at that point, these next few years are going to be very difficult for you, but I will be by your side. And I think there was a moment of saying, what do you mean very difficult? I've just been through all of these things. Oh, I had just come out of a near-death illness as well. So it was an intense year telling me this is going to be a difficult couple of years. But she said she would be by my side. So she did, and she ended up being my personal guide. She was with me, guiding me along the way. And we became close in my garden, in meditations, and all of that. I began to get to know her more and more. And after a while, she said, and I was teaching classes at that point, where I would bring the messages forth, I would see and hear, and I would translate that to people. And then one day she said to me, would you be willing to let me use you as a vessel so I can speak in the first person? And I said, thank you, but no.
Right. Nobody's going to control me, right?
That seemed a little bit, and like I said, I've been a control freak, and so I said thank you, but no, and she smiled at me. She placed her hands on me again, and the next class was my debut, and we've been doing that ever since.
What year was that?
I started working with her. My voice would change, and you could hear a pretty strong difference when she would come in. With time and my philosophy of what happened is that as I did more of my work, our vibrations became more similar.